Feels good to be back in front of a mic again. Long hiatus, busy lives, and then COVID hit. So haven't really been able to hop on the podcast, but we're back. We're here.
Yeah.
We are in the Green Man Cave,
Yes.
the legendary Green Man Cave with the memorabilia back here.
That's right.
I picked up 2K during the quarantine, which is an expensive hobby.
It is.
Well, it dropped to $20 on the PSN, like you can buy it on the PlayStation. So it dropped to $20, and I was like, well, it's only $20. But then I buy VC because I want my player to be good. So I ended up spending like I don't want to say how much I've spent so far, but it's not a good amount.
Yeah,
and
that's
then
what ends up happening.
made my guy like 6'11", which I'm obviously only like 6'6".
Yeah.
So, but yeah, man. I mean, we didn't have any sports to watch. So I was like, I gotta do something with sports. So it was 2K.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, scratch that itch. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm ready for it to come back. We're getting close to the bubble here, the Orlando bubble, which is, the NBA has decided they're going to play all of their games, remainder of 8 regular season games, and then the playoffs are going to be in the Orlando bubble, so all the teams are going to be playing at Disney World Orlando in the wide world of sports, whatever the official name of that place is. And it should be interesting. I mean, it's going to be a new way of watching sports. I'm curious to see how they're going to get through it all. But then obviously, we've had guys coming out in the league. Kyrie Irving was the one that was outspoken about maybe not playing. And I know this is one thing that you wanted to touch on. What's the reason for not playing? What's the reason for playing? What do we think they should do? And I know we share similar opinions. And for me, the NBA is one of the best leagues in the world when it comes to allowing their players to have a voice and have a message. So one thing they're doing right now is they're allowing players to have messages on the back of their jersey instead of their last name. So they can put Black Lives Matter, they can put No Peace, George Floyd, unity, equality. They're able to put a bunch of things on the back of their jerseys, and I think that's great. I think that's an awesome way for the league to represent a league where it's majority African American players, and it's one thing I think the NFL has struggled with over the last couple seasons, and that's obviously been in the public eye with Kaepernick and the taking the knee during the anthem, and I think the NBA has been one of the most progressive and one of the most clever leagues in all of the league systems we have in the country right now. Adam Silver obviously has done a great job as commissioner, but for me, seeing Kyrie sit out, for me, it was like, I understood. I get why he was doing it. Kyrie Irving decided to sit out because he thought this was a bad time to be playing basketball. He thought it would take away from the message that's trying to be delivered from the black community and from Black Lives Matter. And he thought that it was his job to be a voice for them. And I have no issue with him doing it. But I think the better approach would be the LeBron James approach that we talked about, where LeBron James says, here's my platform that I'm being handed. I'm being handed national TV, however many times a week that they're going to do it. And for the playoffs, I mean, that's every day they're playing a playoff game. And LeBron James looks at that as an opportunity. How can I get Adam Silver to work with us here? And Adam Silver works with them. Yeah. And now they're getting that message across on a bigger platform than I think Kyrie Irving would be able to do without that platform. And I think we share that for the most part.
Yeah, I was, initially I was disappointed with Kyrie Irving and, his take on not wanting to play. And I have my own personal feelings about Kyrie. I don't think he's a great leader. I'm not saying he's a bad guy. A lot of times we talk sports and you say something that's considered negative. People say, what you think as a guy is negative. No, we separate sports from who the person is. And so with his decision of not wanting to play, first I questioned it because your team is not in a position to really succeed right now because Kevin Durant is not playing. And I just have a question of if your team was in a position to where you were the second or third seed in the Eastern Conference,
right,
would your thought process still be the same? Because really, there's no real gain for what your agenda is unless we see sacrifice, right? We look at Kaepernick. There was great sacrifice there. We look at, Tommy Smith and John Carlos. This is 1968 Olympics, and they throw up the Black Power fist, in the Olympics. There was great sacrifice there. If you read about their lives and the spiral that happened after that, I mean, their lives were affected detrimentally by that decision to do that. So when there's no sacrifice because of your decision, I'm going to question it anyway. So you weren't going to probably play anyway because you're hurt. Your other star player Kevin Durant is not playing because he's hurt. Oh, so it's easy to come out and say, "Hey, let's not play." And so I was questioning that from the beginning. And the other part of it is that I didn't agree with it. Obviously, we always talk about there's an age gap between you and I'm a little bit more old school. And, I grew up in the era, obviously Bill Russell and those guys were before me. But I grew up, in an era on the tail end of Muhammad Ali and Bill Russell and Hank Aaron and all these guys who, used their platform to elevate what was going on in society, right? Because one of the things that I heard from the players was we don't want to take away from the movement right now, the attention. Well, Bill Russell didn't stop playing basketball because he said, I don't want to take away from the civil rights movement and what Martin Luther King Jr. is doing. He decided to play and he won 11 championships. And he became one of the first black coaches in the NBA. And he's revered to this day. Same thing with Muhammad Ali. He used his platform. So in saying all of that, I didn't agree with Kyrie Irving's premise to come out and not play because, you and we discussed Bubba Watson, who's in NASCAR. And this is a guy who is one of the only African-American male drivers in NASCAR. We can all agree that there's, some racism that runs through that sport. I mean, they were just still hanging on the Confederate flag, until he basically told them, I need you to take him down, and started a rally against that. But here's a guy who suffers depression in his personal life, right? He's one of the only black men in his sport. And not only did he say, am I not gonna stay home and not race? I'm going to race. I'm going to risk it all. And I'm going to, race in a all Black Lives Matters car.
Yeah.
And I'm going to compete. This all while there are reports that there was a noose they found, at some point hanging in his garage. And so if Bubba Watson can use his platform and his sport that's not known to be open to African American culture or people, why can't NBA guys do it?
Right.
So that was my take on it.
Yeah. And I think another thing too, like you brought up, is where your team is at, and that what's the sacrifice that you like you said, and I think another player that we heard was outspoken about this was Dwight Howard, who played for our Lakers, and obviously I would love for Dwight Howard to play. Dwight Howard's huge to our team. But that doesn't mean that he's not his own person, and it doesn't mean that he has his own ideas. And he did decide, I believe yesterday, it won't be yesterday when this comes out, but he did decide recently that he will play. So he came out the other day saying he's decided he will go to the bubble in Orlando and he will play. And I think part of that is because the NBA does such a good job at giving their players platforms. And I think maybe Dwight Howard saw that. He probably had some discussions with LeBron and other guys. And then obviously Avery Bradley decided not to go, but his was for he has a son who has some respiratory issues, and I think he couldn't bring him along, and then he didn't want to bring anything back home. So that's, I mean, how can you blame a guy? It's his child. But I mean, you got to give props to the NBA. They've done a great job.
Yeah, and we're never going to, obviously you got COVID, so some people had, a little resistance because of that, and that's completely understandable. My criticism was more or less on the guys saying that we don't want to play because it'll take away from the movement. Now, whether that was they were just not educated enough about, taking that risk and going to play, or if it was like, hey, I'm in a position, my team is not in a position to win anyway, so let me use this as an excuse. That's kind of where I had my questions and I have problems with what some of the players were saying. And to me, LeBron James has done an excellent job of leading the way, not only in this incident, but a lot of incidents that, come along with, the things that are going on in society and Black lives and all these things. And so, to me, I just believe that you use that platform, and if someone wants to take any of my ideas, here they are for free. I would say LeBron James and these guys, you're all in this bubble together. You're all in Orlando. You're all in the same facility. Hold a summit. Do what Jim Brown and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Muhammad Ali, and those guys did. You guys all get in one room, invite all the media, tell them to bring their cameras, and say, this is how we feel. These are the questions that, we want to answer. and we want you guys to listen to us. And guess what? Everyone will listen because there's nothing else on to watch right now.
Absolutely.
So take advantage of that. I would say during the game, okay, if you don't want to make it a big political thing about the flag and the national anthem, do the national anthem, and then afterward take a knee and have a moment of silence before every game. So now they can't come in with the agenda of, oh, you're disrespecting the flag, you're disrespecting the anthem. No, go ahead and do that. Stand there with your hand over your heart, do the national anthem, and then take a moment of silence. Every coach, every player, referees, anybody that's on the court, take a knee and have a moment of silence before every single game. Now all of a sudden you're bringing attention and awareness to everything that you're doing, and you're using the platform that you have on a national level.
The English Premier League did that. The soccer league, they did that. They were able to write Black Lives Matter on their T-shirt, and then before every game they would take a short knee before kickoff.
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea. Yeah,
awesome.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
And then so I think we talked about Dwight Howard. I'm glad he's back. I think he's gonna be huge for the Lakers.
Me too.
It's gonna be a bummer missing Avery. I still think we're the favorites. I still have us pinned as the best team. The Bucks worry me a little bit, and the Clippers still worry me a little bit. But I mean, for the most part, I'm going Lakers. It's gonna be huge having Dwight there still. I know there was Boogie just tweeted the other day. There's gonna be a Boogie bomb. He's another Boogie bomb. So I don't know where he's going. I don't know what's gonna happen with that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm happy to have Dwight back, and I'm gonna miss Avery.
Yeah, me too. We're obviously gonna miss the defense. He cuts the head off the snake. Sometimes he picks up, baseline to baseline. So having him out there is huge. But he was averaging a little bit over 20 minutes a game. So his impact obviously is big, but it's not something that we can't withstand losing him, because I refuse to believe that our NBA hopes lie on Avery Bradley playing or not playing. As much as we love Avery Bradley, and I'm not trying to discount him, but I have a hard time believing that, oh my God, Avery's not playing, we have no shot at the championship.
Yeah.
We're still talking about a team with LeBron James and Anthony Davis on it. And let's not downplay, like some people will, the addition of Dion Waiters and J.R. Smith. Dion has become an afterthought for some people. And J.R. Smith, we've had this conversation before. I trust J.R. more than anybody on the entire team to hit a shot when LeBron James penetrates, kicks it out, and we need a jumper made.
I didn't know that he was like, I think he's like 5th all time in 3-pointers in playoff history or something like that. And it was interesting seeing that he like came out in an interview or something, and he said, "I'm here to play defense, hit threes, and get out of the way."
Yeah.
Or something. And I was like, cool. I mean, yeah. Which I'm hoping he commits to, because it is JR. So I know he says that, but I'm more nervous, I think, than you are about JR. I can't help, every time I hear his name now, I flash back to the Cleveland game when the shot clock was winding down, and he the bonehead play he made game 1 or whatever it was. Yeah. Every time I hear his name now, I'm just like,
well, he's definitely done some bonehead things in his career. But this is the thing I love about JR. He's a pro. He's been in championship series. He's hit big shots in championship games. And he knows how to play with LeBron. So anybody that LeBron trusts, really, I trust. And that's why, to me, I was so, on board with Dwight Howard when a lot of people were really, not on board with him, coming to the Lakers. And I look at JR the same way I look at Dwight. You bring a specialty to the game. Dwight Howard, you play defense, you get rebounds, you block shots. He can do that with his eyes closed. J.R. Smith, you play pretty good defense, and you hit shots. It's what he's done his whole career. So they don't have to go outside of themselves to fit in or to be effective with the Lakers. This is a team that's already loaded. We just kind of need you to bring your specialty to the table, put that icing on the cake, and we're good to go. And on top of that, JR and Dion are in a situation where they're trying to get contracts for next year. So they're in a bubble, no distractions. It's just simply basketball for this time that they're playing. And you're on a team with a lot of veteran leadership. So the distractions are going to be very minimal, if any. And I trust Dion and JR on the court, especially with LeBron James as a leader of this team.
Yeah. And I mean, and that's another thing too, is we have LeBron James.
Yeah.
I mean, He's old. He's 35, but he's still the best player in the league.
Yes, he is.
And it's going to be hard to beat LeBron James still. I mean, Kawhi's great. Giannis is great, but neither of them are LeBron James.
Yes.
And Anthony Davis is going to be huge too. If one, he can stay healthy because obviously every time he goes down, you wince.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we talked about this a lot earlier, but he's got to be able to bang down low. I mean, he's got to start throwing his body in there, which is scary because he gets injured so often. But that's one thing I think is going to be important to us winning a championship is if he can grind. Because Giannis is a physical guy. And I'm assuming it's going to be Bucks-Lakers finals. That's my... Unless they do that, they might do some reseeding or something like that. So we might get Lakers-Clippers finals. But if it's Lakers-Bucks, it's going to be AD or LeBron guarding Giannis pretty much all game. Because nobody else can really keep up with Giannis because he's built like a center, but he moves like a guard.
Yeah.
So AD's going to have to be able to throw his body in there because Giannis bangs, dude. He's a big guy.
One thing we know about AD is he prepared his body. Last summer coming into the season. So we saw some little nicks and bruises, but I think it was more or less, they were being cautious if they did hold him out of anything this past year. But you saw his body is built different, and you see, again, the leadership of LeBron James. Anthony Davis, maybe some things he would have set out for in New Orleans, little nicks and bruises, he played with the Lakers. Because you have leadership there showing you that we, obviously play through injuries. Injuries are one thing, but you play through little nicks and knacks and things that, my body doesn't feel 100%. Maybe it's 92%. He would sit out, but with the New Orleans Pelicans, but with the Lakers, he's going to push himself. And I think this break has been phenomenal for all the athletes. They've had a break. They've been able to rest their bodies, recuperate, build their bodies back up. So this is an advantage for everyone across the board. I believe. That's
one thing AD talked about too. I know he just recently mentioned, he was like, hey, this is huge for us as the Lakers. We got rest. I mean, you're talking about one of the older superstars in the league, and LeBron getting months of rest now where his body was able to recuperate. Now you go almost right into the playoffs, and you get 8 warm-up games. The Lakers aren't going to miss the playoffs even if they lose all 8 games, so it doesn't really matter. So I mean, I have to agree with AD. I think the Lakers are still the favorite, especially with the rest. I mean, it'll help Giannis a little bit because I think he was kind of dealing with an injury.
He was
before.
He missed the last couple of games before COVID.
The shutdown.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it'll be good for him too, and it'll be good for. I mean, Kawhi is always sitting, so Kawhi's always got something, so it'll be good for him, I guess. But I mean, out of anybody in the league, you're asking 35-year-old LeBron James to play 82 games plus playoffs. That's rough on a 35-year-old body. I mean, you would know that because you're like 64.
Here we go with the whole I got my grades.
I know, I saw it. It looks good. I like it.
But yeah, I think LeBron James has the advantage coming into this because of the experience, right? The Lakers, they have a lot of team chemistry, as we saw throughout the season. An advantage that we have, I believe, over the Clippers, who are, one of our main rivals trying to win a championship, and no discredit to them. Whenever we bring up the Clippers, Clipper fans say, oh, we're hating. No, we're not hating. We're still calling you the, second, third or fourth best team in the entire NBA, possibly. But the problem that the Clippers have that I see is, they didn't have chemistry before COVID hit. You just acquired Reggie Jackson. You just acquired the Morris twin. You were trying to fit them into what you were doing. Kawhi Leonard and Paul George had played a limited amount of games together. And chemistry is huge. As you know, when we get into the regular, playoff season. And that's on a regular basis. Now you're talking about, a certain amount of games in a condensed amount of time. And you haven't spent that time together on the court. And to me, that's kind of what you get for load managing. You just never know what's going to happen. I love the saying, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready, right? So now they have to get ready because they haven't been ready. You decided to sit out games. Paul George, I know he sat out games more because of injury. But Kawhi Leonard, you had an agreement with the Clippers before you even signed with them that you were going to sit out a particular amount of games. Now, that's coming back to bite you in the butt. And I don't feel bad for you or Clipper fans.
Yeah.
So if you can, get in and play and you can rise above that and beat the Lakers and beat the Bucks, then kudos to you. I just won't believe it until I see it. And that's why I'm giving the edge to the Lakers because of LeBron James' leadership. He's been there. He's done that. And we have the players around him that's complimenting him that he usually wins championships with. You got shooters. You got a big man inside that plays well, which he's never had a big man as good as AD. And you have guys that play defense. You have size. You have versatility. It's the formula LeBron James has always had when he's won.
Yeah, and I think another thing too, is filling those role players that have seen championship minutes. Because the one thing we've harped on the Clippers is a lot of those guys haven't really been deep in the playoffs.
No.
So that's going to be huge. Just, adding JR was big. Dion not as much, but and it's hard. We're both wearing Lakers shirts right now, sitting here talking about the Lakers and trying to say we're unbiased. But of course we're a little bit biased. We love our Lakers, but even from an unbiased view, I'm still putting Lakers 1. And another reason I'm doing that is that's what I said at the start of the season. I said at the start of the season I think Lakers will be one. They'll be 1, 2, or 3 seed in the West, just depending on how many games LeBron and AD play. Because I didn't know how they were going to manage injuries and and resting and stuff like that. ESPN had them like 7th, like they had them like an 8th seed or something, like before the season started, and that was one of the things to me, even as a slightly biased Lakers fan, I was like, this is incorrect. I just don't think this is right. Yeah, and we ended up being right about it. They were way better than what a lot of people said they were going to be, and. It sounds like I'm saying it because I love the Lakers, but I'm saying it because I love basketball. I think they're the best team in the league.
Yeah.
And I think I was listening to I heard somebody Bill Simmons' podcast was talking to JJ Redick.
Okay.
And JJ Redick said it's Lakers, Clippers, or Bucks. Those are the 3 toughest teams to play in the league right now. Yeah. He said those guys are all good. He put the Raptors in there too, actually, which the Raptors could be a sleeper in the East. I mean, they're a great team.
They are.
But it was interesting. I mean, that was the first. It was like it's Lakers, Clippers, or Bucks, and the Lakers weren't in that conversation beginning of the season. Nobody was putting them in that conversation.
Yeah, Draymond just picked the Lakers a couple of days ago. Mm-hmm. He said because of LeBron's leadership and the experience, and he's played against all these teams. Maybe there's a little bias there too because he's a Clutch Sports guy now, and him and LeBron are friends. But I picked the Lakers not just because I'm a Laker fan. I picked the Lakers because of just what the eye test showed me when they were putting this team together. It's funny how Rob Pelinka got so much backlash for how things went down, but for us to miss out on Kawhi, and then for him to have a plan B that he put together very quickly, it seemed like all those guys and their agents were kind of waiting on the call from Rob once the Kawhi Leonard situation didn't go down. And we just added guys within 2 days. We had a full roster of guys that made sense. And you look at the pundits and the media, they acted like it didn't make sense. But I looked at what they put around LeBron James. I said, this makes total sense, the type of players that they have around him. And if we can touch on very quickly Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers, the reason why I believe that the Clippers are in a situation to where they have more to prove is because taking nothing away from Kawhi Leonard, but we talked about this. Everybody wanted to act like the Toronto Raptors team was a team that he came up to and, he was added to a bunch of old guys and he took them to an NBA championship. No, that was a fully loaded team, and this is a team that basically you swapped out DeMar DeRozan for Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard's a better player. Then you added Danny Green also. That was a big addition. You swapped out Valanciunas for Marc Gasol. People don't talk about that, right? That was a switch you made at before the trade deadline. And Kawhi Leonard was not the leader of that team. Kyle Lowry was. So what we still have not seen, the Clipper fans won't agree to this, but it is what it is. What we still have not seen is Kawhi Leonard be a leader of a team and lead them to a championship as a leader of a team with other guys on the roster that have never won. We have not seen that yet. He didn't do it with the Spurs. He hasn't done it. He didn't do it with Toronto. We'll see if he can do it with the Clippers.
So yeah, and I think you're right. I don't think he was the vocal leader in Toronto. We've always disagreed a little bit on his championship run in Toronto.
Yes.
I think I give him a little bit more credit than you do for that.
Okay.
And I think because I think he was the leader on the court, which is where it counts. It is important to be a leader off the floor, and they did have a lot of good vocal leaders off the floor. Marc Gasol is a great vocal leader. Danny Green seems like he's a good locker room guy. Fred VanVleet seemed like he bought in.
Yeah.
They had a lot of guys that bought into their system. Like you said, Kyle Lowry, he was probably the vocal leader in the locker room. It was just when I saw Kawhi Leonard out on the floor, I saw the best player in the league at that moment.
Yeah.
On the floor. When he was beating Milwaukee and the 76ers, I was almost rooting against him. Not so much against the 76ers, but I love Giannis. So I was almost rooting against him in Milwaukee. I wanted Milwaukee to win. I wanted to see Giannis go to the finals. And it was so hard for me to take my eyes off of Kawhi Leonard. It seemed to me like he was killing everybody. And I don't think he was the leader in San Antonio either. I think you're right. It wasn't. It was that was a team full of veterans. I mean,
Tim Duncan, Ginobili, we can go.
well, I mean, it was
on and on.
Popovich. Yeah, I mean,
Popovich.
it was Pop. Pop and Tim Duncan first and foremost, and then it was Manu and Tony. But in Toronto, to me, he was playing with Nick Nurse, who I think it was his first year in the league, right? It was his first year as a head coach, I think, in the league. So you're not, he's not playing with a terrific coach. Although Nick Nurse ended up being a great coach, he wasn't super experienced. He'd never been to the finals before as a head coach. Most of those other guys haven't really made it out of the first and second rounds. So you're not playing with a lot of championship level guys, except
Toronto?
for minus Danny Green.
Well, that's what will split hairs. Serge Ibaka played in the NBA
That's true.
Finals.
Serge Ibaka, Danny Green.
Marc Gasol has never made to the finals in NBA, but he's played big time basketball in the Olympics with his brother as a leader.
Yeah.
Spain, basically was a 6-point game when Spain played USA with Kobe Bryant and Jason Kidd when they joined the team. So Marc Gasol is still a leader on the floor and has played big time basketball.
Yeah.
Danny Green has played championship basketball.
Yeah.
So you had plenty of guys on that team that had champion experience. Kyle Lowry has played, big time basketball in the playoffs. And to me, where we'll split hairs on this is, yes, he was the best player, but best player doesn't mean that you're the leader of the team.
No.
Kyle Lowry, and we see that by what the team's success has been since he's been gone. This is not a team that fell apart like teams fall apart when LeBron James leaves. They basically are in the gutter. This is a team that's still one of the best teams in the NBA. And they had injuries all throughout the season. I mean, when they took that West Coast swing and they played us and the Clippers and they're out here playing the Denver Nuggets, Serge Ibaka went down. Kyle Lowry went down. I mean, they were bringing guys off the bench that were 12th, 13th guy on the bench, and they came in balling. So great culture, great coaching, veteran leadership, and not only did Kawhi Leonard leave, this is what fans need to realize. Not only did he leave, you got nothing back in return for him. And what people don't talk about enough of is Danny Green left. You lost 2 starters that were not replaced through a trade. And look how good that team still is. So that tells me how great that culture is. It tells me that he wasn't the leader because Kyle Lowry is the leader of the team and he continues to be. As Kyle Lowry goes, that team goes. And, I don't have it off the top of my head right now, but if we look at even in the finals and some of those games in the playoffs, he had some stinkers in there, some big ones.
Yeah.
And so I remember there was a game against Toronto. I can't remember which game it was in the finals. He didn't score until the third quarter. And it wasn't this LeBron James, I don't need to score, I'm getting everybody involved. No, you were losing badly. And you just couldn't and didn't score until the third quarter. And so there were moments where I said, okay, I want to see if he gets on a team where he is the ultimate leader. He's the number one guy. Guys are going to be looking to him like the Clipper situation is set up. Is he going to be a guy that can step up like we've seen a LeBron James, like we've seen a Kobe Bryant, like we've seen other championships in past years? Is he going to be able to rally guys around him when it's time and I'm the number one leader on and off the court of a team? Am I going to be able to lead a team like full of guys like Shamet and Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell, a bunch of guys who have never been there? Am I going to be able to lead them to a championship? I'm not saying he can't. What I'm saying is you got to show me. And that's the only thing I got to say about this situation. And it's not coming from a place of being a hater like some Clipper fans would call us. These are just facts, right? We never give any players benefit of the doubt until they show us. Kobe Bryant had to show that he can win championships without Shaquille O'Neal, even though we knew Kobe was great. People still kind of dogged him out. Well, you haven't won one without Shaq, And so why should I give Kawhi Leonard that benefit of the doubt when we've gave it to no other athlete that's come before him? So now that you're going to a new team, you're the ultimate leader. Let's see if you can do it against a LeBron James with teams that some people see as equal in talent. I think the Lakers have more talent. I think the Lakers are deeper, even though people will say the Clippers are deeper. I don't know where they get that from because we're deeper at almost every position. I've never understood that, but that's my take on it, and that's why I believe ultimately the Lakers will beat the Clippers in the 7-game series. Yeah. But it's not like I'm saying they're going to beat them 4-0. This will be a 6-7 game series. It's going to be highly competitive, and it is a series that makes me nervous if we play them.
Yeah.
But I still think the Lakers have the advantages.
And that's a bit. I mean, they make me nervous. The Bucks and the Clippers make me nervous for sure. Those are the teams we got to watch out for.
Yeah.
But I think that'll be it for today. We're at the 30-minute mark here. I think it's a good podcast.
Yeah.
I think we're getting back
Good
into the
takes.
swing of it. Yeah. So next time, we'll be hopefully we'll have some boogie bombs or something. We'll have some more movement in the league. It looks like things are starting to happen. JR got picked up by the Lakers. You're starting to see guys coming out of the works saying, I don't want to play. I do want to play. Teams are gonna have to start replacing guys. Mixing guys in. So it'll be interesting next couple of weeks, and then obviously we'll have a ton to talk about when that bubble play starts.
Yeah.
So
Sounds good.
all right,
We'll be ready.
catch you next time.
Signing out.